Hello there, Anna Sabramowitz here from eLearner Engaged, and I have another video edition of basically what I'm learning today and the last couple of days. And I probably look a little bit tired. I think I'm just, it's been a long week, and I'm adjusting to getting up really early because I'm meeting with a team that is 3 hours ahead of me. So I want to be on top of things, right? So I'm sure some of you can totally relate. I have colleagues that work with teams that are on the other side of the globe. So when we're on the same side of the continent, we all get really excited because when we book meetings, we can just, say it's 1 o'clock. So if you're out there, I feel for you. I feel for you. Being in the same time zone is actually pretty cool. All right. So, what I wanted to talk about is group work. So, I was talking to my colleagues about group work the other day, and this came about because we were talking about survey feedbacks from courses that were coming back, and part of the big part of a lot of these online courses, especially offered in academia and even the ones that are offered as professional development, they include a cohort component as well. And at the end of the year or at the end of that course, if you send out a survey, there's squeaky wheels that'll say, I hated the group work, it was worthless, all kinds of stuff, right? They waited till the end to complain, basically. So we're just thinking about why doesn't it work for everyone? And of course, one of the things that I think is not really expressed as much as it should be is the whole idea that group work is never going to go away for people. But the fact that they are working in groups is something that they can add as an actual team experience to the resume, that they collaborated with a team. That's a big deal if you know how to do that, because there's a lot of people, obviously, who don't appreciate that, don't enjoy that, don't know how to contribute. And also the leadership aspect. It's an opportunity for you to be a leader, right? So I think that's obviously a big part of it. One of the colleagues did bring up something quite telling, the idea that, your doctor, let's say, I'm using a different analogy, but, your hygienist can tell you you should floss every day, but just because you know that you should do that and it's good for you, that doesn't mean you actually do it every day. So there's a difference between knowing something and feeling like you should and executing it. So we were thinking about how would you basically sell that activity to somebody, and also the big reason, why are you doing the group work in the first place? How is it augmenting the learning experience? How is it taking the experience further? Are there pieces in there that are helping people make connections, or because you've structured the activities and the group work activities so that people discuss and share and persuade, that actually makes you learn and create those connections between concepts, because you actually have to explain them in your own words to other people and persuade them and maybe be persuaded yourself, which is wonderful. It's a great reason, right? But sometimes people just group work, to organize that well, takes some thought, and also it can't just be slapped on as we're going to have group work. It has to have a purpose, and if that purpose is not clear to your learner, then I could see why they wouldn't necessarily find it valuable. But also, one of the things that was found is that if you have several group activities and they're structured very well, the people who are participating, that have a good time, that really find it valuable, they're usually not the people who are going to say anything. They're happy. They're just going to move on to the next activity, right? So to actually engage them at the very end of that activity and say, what kind of value did you get? What was your biggest lesson learned? How would you improve the next one? And make that a part of that process to reflect on the group work, you actually are engaging a lot of the other people and getting feedback that's a little more representative of how the entire class or the workshop feels about it, right? And we were talking about the idea of there's the squeaky wheels. You have to balance them because sometimes they do have very valid feedback. But how do you balance that with the negatives versus the positives? And it has a lot to do with putting feedback mechanisms in place throughout, so that you have a better, like I said, a better idea of what really is representative of the feeling of how group work has worked. And a part of it is also, I as an instructional designer can toot the group work activities as much as I want to. I can really try and sell students on the leadership skills and the collaboration skills, but really it's up to the facilitator to draw those things out, saying, hey, if you really want to take this to the next level as far as demonstrating leadership, here are some of these things that you could do while you're working in your groups. Give people concrete examples of how they can take it to the next level. And the other piece is that in every single workshop I've been in, there's A players and there's people who are not so excited to be there. They're there to have a day off. Paid day off to just let their brain just, decompose a little bit more. So the idea is that maybe instead of forcing people to work together and having this like somebody who's not excited, not motivated, not into collaborating, let people self-select and let the A players seek out other A players, let the people who are not interested put them in their own group. And that was a really awesome suggestion that also came up for online learners, how they, instead of assigning them groups and then later people just drifting off and one person basically submitting the project, people are self-selecting in action groups and they choose their peers and they choose who they want to work with based on interest, based on motivation, based on, not necessarily choosing people who are like them, because you want mix in groups because it makes people step out of the comfort zones, see things from different perspectives. However, enthusiasm and motivation, those are things that having them in common is a great thing, and especially in an online environment where there's so much distance between people. So I like that a lot. And I'd love to hear what your experiences are with using groups to take learning further. How have you structured it so that people find their work contributes in a meaningful way, that they don't feel overburdened? There's not a unfairness factor coming in, although, a lot of times I think that's one of the biggest gripes that students have, is that somebody's doing all the work and they're not, or no, usually people who don't do the work aren't complaining. It's the people who do all the work. So it might be that. So share your resources or share your ideas. I'd love to hear what you have to say, because, it's a challenge for all of us. And I like to learn more and get better at this, especially just having more tools in my back pocket to pull out when a situation arises that's more difficult than usual. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up today is one of my favorite things that I started fairly recently, but I have been following through on it. It's called the 5-minute journal. And what it is you may have heard of it. You basically go to, I'll put the link below, but it's called, the website is 5minutejournal.com. And I believe you can order these on Amazon as well. So the 5-minute journal is a way for you to journal every morning and every evening. And it has prompts. The prompts have to do with gratitude. The prompts have to do with setting a goal for the day, and also telling yourself the kind of person you want to be that day. And I every day I've been writing in, and it's wonderful. One of the things that I've found is I'm tracking things like, what kind of mood I'm in when I get up in the morning, what kind of day is it? Is it sunny? Is it raining? And then also what I've noticed is that as I reflect on at the end of the day, I'm finding it easier and easier to come up with things that I'm grateful for, that were wonderful, that happened that day. And I found that really cool, because I feel like sometimes you go to bed and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't get as much done today. I didn't have all the time I needed. But this journal helps you focus on those little moments that actually were positive. So you go to bed with a positive mindset. And The other piece is that they have these really beautiful, inspirational either actions or quotes every single day. And this is a beautiful one I wanted to share with you today is feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. William Arthur Ward. And I just wanted to express my gratitude to the people that watch this and comment and give me feedback, because I'm so grateful that you're here, because it makes me think that I have somebody sounding board out there, and some of you are more active than others as far as giving me feedback. But what I found on the majority is that people are really wanting to be helpful, which is unusual for YouTube, as you know, but it's very candid and helpful, and I grow from each of those things. So I wanted you to know that I appreciate that you're there and watching. And if you have any questions or anything you want to share, either post your message below the video, and I'll put a link to this because I think it's really cool. It's really improved the quality of my life. And it only takes 5 minutes. And if you want to send me a personal email with some questions or some sort of ideas, Anna@elearnerengaged.com, and I will see you next time, friend. Take care.